All right, so now it's time to start populating our staff table and at the same time just digging in a little bit to what goes on behind the scenes for each of these fields and what options we have available to us to put controls onto our data. So let's just start with the first employee, and we'll just say that this employee is Cindy Thompson. Date of birth, we'll just say May 1st of 1970. And we'll say that she was hired on January 1st of 2017. Phone number. Now remember how we were talking about phone number is set up as a text field. So I can say that you are in area code 123 and your phone number is 6665554, something like that. Now, since we have it set up as text field, we could, put the little dashes in, or we could do the parens around. We can do anything we want to do here because we have this set up as a text field. This is what I'm pretty much getting at. If we set this up as a number field, we wouldn't be able to put in dashes and such because those aren't numeric characters. So anyhow, we have that. I'm not going to bother filling out a lot of this data at the moment. I just kind of wanted to show that when we did this, see how we have staff ID number 1. This is that auto number field that comes by default whenever you create a new table. And remember how this now ties back to our feeding table. Staff ID 1 joins back to the staff ID. So now instead of just having this random staff ID 1 person, what we're really now building out, as we're saying, is that Cindy was the person who did these feedings as staff ID 1. Now for staff ID 2, let's say that is Bill James, and we'll give Bill James a birth date in the 60s. And Bill's been with us a little longer, so let's say Bill was hired on tax day in 2010. And let's go back, talking about phone number again. Now, one thing obviously you'll want is some sort of consistency in your table, but let's say it was entered as area code 303 369 8520. You did something like this. This is not necessarily ideal in your table. You'll want things to look uniform as you're entering data. So, as I had mentioned, we have some ability within each of these fields to kind of control how the data looks. So let's go ahead and remember over here on the left here, you can go to Design View and you can see each of these fields. Now, when you click on a field, you notice you have all these options down here below. What you're able to do here is specify things like, for instance, field size. Now, by default, if you do a short text field, it says that the field length can be 255 characters. That's the maximum length allowed for that data type. Now, first name is typically not going to be that long, so you can trim that down if you choose. You can say that the maximum field size maybe is 20 or something. Now you're saying, well, why would I even want to do that? Why don't I just make it as long as possible, just in case somebody has a really long first name, I've got enough room or whatever? Well, there's a few reasons why you want to restrict this. One reason has to do with just the size of your file, your database file. So if your database starts getting really large, if you're holding the full amount of space for each data type, if you were holding 255 characters for this, the database itself has to hold that size in memory. So it will be a larger file size than necessary if you're not utilizing all these characters. So what you can do by trimming it down is you'll allow the database size to be a little smaller, a little trimmer. If you run queries against these fields, they'll run more quickly, just things like that. You have performance benefits. And besides performance benefits, the other thing is this will also allow you to control the size of the data that comes in here. Now, first name, you probably don't need to really control that, but let's go back to phone number. Now, right now we're allowing 255 characters, but we know a phone number is only going to be a certain length. Now, just a typical phone number size, in the United States, you're going to have your 3 digits for area code and then your 7 digits for phone number, or a length of 10. Now, if you're going to allow the dashes or the parens to be in there as well, that'll count as a character. So if you made it 10 in length but wanted dashes and such, you're not going to be able to fit it. It'll fail your edit. But what you can do is, let's say you made it enough to account for 2 parentheses and a dash within the 7 digits of phone number. So you've got 2 characters for the parentheses, 1 for the dash, 10 for the phone number. That's a total of 13. And you may want a space between the area code and the phone number. You can make it, for instance, 14. This is just an option available to you. You can do whatever you like to do. If I hit save, it's going to give me this warning that if any of my data happens to be longer than that, it's going to get truncated or removed. We'll just say OK. Go back to our table. Now here is the example I had here for 14 characters. Now if I wanted to add another digit to it, see how I'm getting a warning saying that this field is as big as it can be. So this kind of prevents any data entry issues or something where somebody made the phone number too long or they duplicate entered a number or something like that. You can start seeing how you can put controls on these fields. Okay, so that's all we're going to cover in this video. But in the next video, we're going to expand on this a little bit further and dive into some of the other options available for these various fields. But I just wanted to give you kind of a high-level overview of what I'm talking about as far as putting in controls, how they'll help your table with the data integrity so that your data looks the way you want to look, and trying to prevent errors or bad data from getting into your table. So catch you at the next video and we'll continue this topic.